Most people use a camera like a photocopier. You stand in front of something beautiful, an old cabin, a sweeping valley, or someone you care about. You feel the cold wind and the emotion of the moment. You point the machine, press a button, and expect it to save that exact feeling. But the result is almost always flat. That failure isn't because you did anything wrong or because your camera is cheap. The image is flat because the machine did exactly what you told it to do. It made a literal mathematical copy of the scene. It's what I call a copy-paste image. The mistake is thinking that you are taking a picture of an object. You aren't. Your camera doesn't know what a mountain is, and it has absolutely no concept of human emotion. It only knows one thing: the physical light bouncing off of those objects. I'm Dale Sinclair, and today we're fixing the boring photo problem by tearing down the photocopier mentality. We are moving past taking pictures and stepping into the realm of photography. That word itself comes from the Greek, phos meaning light, and graphine meaning to draw. To be a photographer literally means to be someone who draws with light. By the end of this dispatch, you won't be hunting for things to shoot anymore. You'll be hunting for photons. Let's get into the machine. To understand the how, we have to stop looking at the camera as a magic box and start looking at it as a light box, a dark room controlled entirely by three things: time, aperture, and sensitivity. Let's look at the very back of that box. Think of your camera sensor, that little rectangular silicon chip inside the body, as a massive grid of millions of tiny microscopic buckets. In the world of physics, we call these photosites. Their only job in life is to catch raindrops. But in our universe, the rain is made of light particles called photons. Think of that sensor like a vintage metal ice cube tray. When you press the shutter button to take a photo, you aren't capturing the physical object. You are opening a mechanical door and allowing a specific amount of this light rain to fall into those little tray compartments. Think of your lens as a watering can pouring over that tray. Your aperture is the size of the holes on the watering can's spout. Your shutter speed is how long you tip the can to let the water pour. If you are shooting in a dense forest in British Columbia, where the light is just a slow drizzle, you need larger holes on the spout and more time to fill the compartments. But if you are shooting in the Badlands of Alberta at high noon, that light isn't a drizzle. It's a fire hose. If you leave the door open too long, or the aperture holes are too wide, too much light blasts in. The buckets don't just overflow, they get wiped out. When a bucket overflows, the camera doesn't gently record too much light. It completely flatlines. It records absolute blank white. Nothing. That's why blown out highlights in a bright sky are totally unrecoverable. The data simply isn't there. It's spilled over the edge. On the flip side, if you close the door too fast, the buckets stay dry. The camera panics, tries to guess what was supposed to be in the dark, and you get ugly, noisy black shadows. This is what engineers call quantum efficiency. Basically, the mathematical ratio of how good your specific bucket is at catching every single drop of light that hits it. It's just light management. Whether you're using a flagship mirrorless setup worth thousands or a 10-year-old point-and-shoot you found in a drawer, the physics are identical. Light hits a surface, it bounces off, it travels through your glass lens, and it lands on that sensor. If you understand that you are drawing with these photons, you instantly realize why standing in an open field under a midday sun often results in a terrible photo. It's like trying to draw a delicate, nuanced charcoal portrait, but instead of a pencil, someone hands you a massive, dripping paint roller. It's simply too much information all at once, coming from the most unflattering angle possible. You are overflowing the buckets with bad data. This brings us to the professional code. At North of Wendigo, we believe in the honest frame. In modern photography, it is incredibly easy to take a flat, boring photo of a sky, open it in software, and ask an AI to generate a dramatic sunset where none existed. We don't do that. If the sun didn't break through the clouds while you were freezing your hands off on the coast of the Gaspé Peninsula, we don't fake it in the digital darkroom. Why? Because the struggle to earn the light, to wait for it, to anticipate it, is what makes the final drawing meaningful. However, transparency goes both ways. In this studio environment, you'll frequently see me use AI-generated diagrams or conceptual simulations to explain optical physics. These are my digital chalkboards. They are illustrations to help you see the invisible mechanics of the camera, but they are never presented as field reality. When you stop looking for subjects and start actively hunting for light, your entire intent as a photographer shifts. You stop walking up to a tree and asking, "Is this a pretty tree?" Instead, you start asking, "How is the light wrapping around that bark? Where are the shadows falling?" When you fail to ask those questions, you end up paying what I call the resolution tax. Let me explain the tax. Remember the empty buckets from our light box? If there isn't enough natural light falling onto your sensor, you have to turn up the camera's internal sensitivity, the ISO, to brighten things up. But you cannot create photons out of thin air. Think of your camera sensor like a car radio. If the radio station signal is weak, meaning the light is bad, turning up the volume dial doesn't make the music clearer. It just amplifies the static. By boosting your camera's internal signal, you are amplifying the electrical static of the machine itself. Every time you try to fix a lack of light by cranking up your digital settings, you pay a heavy tax in image quality. The color falls apart, the sharpness degrades. Great photography is about completely avoiding that tax by finding the best light source possible before you ever flip the power switch. If this shift in perspective is already changing how you're looking at the room around you, hit the subscribe button. It helps us keep these field dispatches coming. I don't want you to just watch this. I want you to go out and feel it. Here is your first field adventure. I call this the sundial. Find a stationary object in your neighborhood, a weathered fence post, a park bench, or a fire hydrant on a street corner. I want you to take 3 photos of it, but here's the unbreakable rule. You cannot move the object. You can only move your feet or wait for the earth to rotate. These 3 photos will teach you more about light than any camera manual ever written. First, shoot for flat light. Take this at midday, or stand with the sun directly over your shoulder so the object is entirely front lit. It will look two-dimensional. Second, hunt for texture light. Come back to that exact same spot at golden hour, just after dawn or just before sunset. Shoot it so the sun is hitting your object from a sharp side angle. Finally, find the halo. Move your body until the sun is hidden directly behind the object. You aren't looking for massive lens flares, just that glowing rim of backlight separating the object from its background. Notice how the thing stays the same, but the drawing changes completely. In photo 2, the side light will reveal deep textures and shadows you didn't even know were there. That is you, using the invisible pen of photography. Photography isn't about the gear you carry. It's about the light you choose to acknowledge. The most expensive camera in the world cannot find the story if the light is dead. Once you realize that you aren't documenting objects, but rather documenting how photons interact with those objects, your entire portfolio will change. Next time we meet, we're going to take this light box apart and look at the 5 universal parts that every single machine uses to control those photons. I'm Dale Sinclair. Stop taking pictures and start drawing with photons. I'll see you on the path.